Telephone now from Cadiz is Peter Major to talk about Glencore, because Peter, the Anglo-American share price was down around about 2% and everyone thought it was going to go rocketing through 300, but Glencore comes out with results which featured copper and have done very well indeed. You fund managers like this one apparently.
Well, it depends. If you're looking at the close on INET, it looks like the share dropped 3.5% rather than went up 3.5%. So I'm assuming
in that case I've got the wrong thing in front of me, but I defer to your wisdom. And in fact, the resources index of the JSE was bad. We had 2% down on gold, 2% down on platinum. So of course that makes sense. But if you take away the daily move, which I got wrong, what about the longer term future versus the other diversified miners? Yeah, look, longer term, I think it's still going up, and I mean longer term, say for the rest of the year, anyways. Because it's currently at a 2-year high relative to Billiton, a 2-year high relative to the All-Share Index, and it's a 2.5-year high in dollar terms. And it still has more to go, because if you look back 3 years, it's still down almost 10% from where it was 3 years ago. So what does this mean? It means these diversified commodity shares, the mining houses. Diversified means more than just 90% iron ore like we see at Vale and Rios. And Glencore's got a very nice diversification, and it still makes about 40% of its earnings plus off marketing. And everybody thinks whenever you've got volatility like we have had commodities last year, that's the time that the traders always really make good money. So it's very well diversified. The market likes it. I like it. I think between it and Billiton, they're the two safest stocks, and they're not as overpriced as Anglo's. But I'm being a bit bland here. I think another thing that a lot of the fund managers like about Glencore is it's got a lot of new projects coming on stream, a lot of new mines, and production growth, volume growth. That's always a nice counter to weakness in commodity prices. So it's going to be very hard for Billiton to grow production like Glencore is going to.
Peter, what do you make of the zinc numbers? They seem to be the only one that have shown a significant drop, down by 11%. Is this significant at all in the broader scheme of things?
Look, it's significant if it's over a whole year, but I think that was more short term. I think that was just, I'm a little rusty here, I think that was quarter on quarter. Quarter on quarter figures are very volatile, and I don't put too much interest in them. But year on year, especially if you're adding 4 quarters, if you add the last 4 quarters with the 4 quarters previous, full 12-month up figures mean a lot more than just quarter on quarter.
Peter, heaven forbid you ever get invited to open a new diversified commodities company. But let's put ourselves in this fantastic situation. We've had copper up 13% from Glencore, zinc down 11%, nickel down 8%, coal up 5%. If you had to construct a portfolio today of commodities, which would be your favourite, and what sort of allocation would you assign to these various commodities? And not just those ones I've just mentioned, but everything. What's your favourite?
I think it's Glencore even more than Billiton, because although Billiton's not overly dependent on iron ore, I think Glencore's got a better spread. And Lindsay, I like the 30, 40, 45% sometimes of trading revenue, because trading revenue you make whether the commodities are going up or down, and that's something that the other mining companies don't have. They're purely dependent on commodity prices. And as I said earlier, if you got Vale and Rio that are 80% plus dependent on just iron ore, which I think is still too high, and if you got a mining house that's dependent on precious metals, which I think are both too high, then I'm worried. But Glencore's got a nice spread of revenue and income, and Billiton's virtually tied with it. They don't have the trading component, which some people like, but I like the trading component that Glencore has.
We'll leave it there, Peter. Thanks so much for your time this evening. That's Peter Major from Cadiz commenting on the Glencore 6-monthly production update, which came out earlier today. The share price falling along with the rest of the resources sector.